we know the discourse surrounding Legend of Korra. Okay, we know a lot of people, especially some ATLA fans, don't really like it as much compared to the OG series with Aang and the crew. With that being said, Jason is one of the few people who I've talked to who at least recognizes some of the bright spots of the show. And I say all that to say is because I want to get Jason's reaction on what is now what was hate is now canon because the creators of this show revealed the little log line, the little premise, the sequel. So it's a new Avatar series called Avatar Seven Havens. And here's what it says. Here's the basic premise of it. Avatar Seven Havens is set in a world shattered by a devastating cataclysm. A young earthbender discovers she's the new avatar after Korra, but in this dangerous era, that title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not its savior. Hunted by both human and spirit enemies, she and her long lost twin must uncover the mysterious origins and save the Seven Havens before civilization's last strongholds collapse. Jason, how do you feel about the fact that the hatred has now been canon? The writers heard it and they now decided, you know what? You're right. Korra is the problem.
I think it's
She's the reason.
hilarious. I think it's hilarious because I like Korra. So I think when Korra was first airing, for one, I really don't like the flip flopping of the fan base because I think everyone was like, when Korra first dropped, it was like, man, this show's dope. The animation's awesome. Like, this is cool. It's futuristic, but like still like Avatar, and clearly they're using the budget to make it good. And then before, without my knowing, somehow Korra was the scourge of the earth and the worst thing that has ever happened to the Avatar Last Airbender. See, I was like, I understand that sequels get scrutiny, but this is ridiculous. And I have seen no shortage of videos intellectually dissecting and deconstructing Korra arc by arc, episode by episode, decision by decision, line by line. My goodness, they hate this. They hate Korra, um, and I think a lot of it is unwarranted. Personally, I do think book two is kind of trash, and if they were to redo that entire book, it would have made the whole show better. And then book four didn't need to happen. Personally,
I agree. Yeah.
I think if they were going to do that idea, it would have they could have done it a little better. Um, that to say, me and James talked shortly before we got on the pod, and I was just cracking up because I was like, "Dang, bro, they hate Cora so much that now even in the show they hate her, like to the point where I've seen different comments on the Seven Havens thing and what this might be. This might be a situation where like Cora got blamed for something that wasn't actually her fault, or was partially her
Could
fault,
be.
partially not her fault, or they just didn't know what happened because had to be there type situation. And
Lack of context, right?
bingo. But I think this is really interesting. I think it solves the dilemma that people were having. If you just keep moving forward in time, things like what are you going to do? An Avatar in the modern era? That's not interesting. Why? Because that's not what made the original show interesting. It will take away the last little shred of fantasy elements that it had to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I want to watch Powers in a modern era, I'm going to watch Solo Leveling. I'm not going to watch like Avatar rendition 3. I thought they were going to do a prequel series, but they ended up doing this. I thought this is cool, mainly because Avatar has no support now.
Yeah, literally.
Because the first show, the Avatar had like limited support, and most people liked them. Most people were happy about them. Every now and then, people were just like, "You abandoned us for 100 years," yada yada yada. And then, like in Legend of Korra, we just saw like Korra just be like headstrong for 4 seasons straight. Like they could have sped up some of that progression, but it was just like she was learning in slow motion. It was hard to watch. But
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, like it's a show that's set off the heels of Korra's failure as an avatar. People have been calling Korra the worst avatar for a minute. Well, now she is. Now she
Yeah.
officially is.
And she's now the first avatar of the line now, basically.
Yeah.
So
I've seen people say things like they might do a thing where it's like, oh, the avatar line was broken, but it's more like it got scattered and you could probably like reclaim
bring it
it.
back together.
You would have to like go deeper into your spiritual side to like reconnect with the lost And so like
Interesting.
I've
And
heard
these
different
arcs do
things like
well.
that. Like they could do that. I've seen fan videos or fan scripts of rewriting season 2 or 4 to like, fix some of these issues. Because it definitely did set Core up to just go from being the strongest to the weakest immediately. Um, and hopefully they don't do that annoying like Megazord battle, like light beam struggle nonsense
Yeah, the
that
mecha giants.
that was jarring. Like the
Yeah,
apex of Avatar: The Last Airbender was the fight during Sozin's comment, and even then, it was still within the realm of like he's shooting flames from his body, he's gathering water from around him. Like, what is this like energy construct nonsense? Not PS. Was this PS3?
PS5. It says PS5,
That's a lie,
but this definitely came out on PS3, 100%.
dude. This looks like a PSP game.
Hey, don't hate. You said Ozai, so I'm like, hey, I got some Ozai content for you.
I would rather watch this than that final fight.
That's crazy to say, to be honest.
Dude,
I
that final fight was so weird, and they shouldn't have made the Avatar Ravu Vatu thing. That should have never happened, bro. Avatar
you
should have just
think
been
you
like, we
think
don't
that
know why, but this man exists, this lady exists with 4 powers. They should have just kept it a mystery.
because there are shows where they do something where they don't really explain the origin of something because it doesn't really, I don't say it doesn't matter, but it's more so like the thing of you don't want to over explain everything. Because if you over explain everything, then you got to come up with, then there's more questions, and more questions mean there has to be more answers. But I think no one was really sitting there wondering the early origins of Avatar, at least not that many people. So I think they could have just not have gone that route. I don't. A matter of fact, to be honest, too, I don't think it's bad that he went down that route. I just think that I really do think the hindrance of them not knowing uh, the actual ending of their show was what hindered them, because everyone knows the truth that like they all did, it was like a season by season. They never really knew when their show was going to end, so they had to keep coming up with some ideas to talk about. Same thing with Young
It's
Justice. So
Yeah, Young Justice got the same treatment, which is weird for both of them. More weird for
yeah,
Korra than Young Justice though, because like Warner Brothers was spreading their money super thin, and so
yeah,
they really just weren't ever sure. Especially when Warner
yeah.
Brothers had so many animated projects that they were just like wondering whether or not they should keep or not keep. And then the comics got rebooted as well, which didn't help. But Avatar, like
Nope.
that was a big bag. Like they made bread off that mug to
Mhm.
the point where you could see the difference. Like, why do you think there was so much more waterbending in Legend of Korra than it was Avatar? They said it was because they actually have the budget for it because waterbending was just that much harder to animate compared to firebending or earthbending. And they
Yeah,
actually could do that during Legend of Korra. And I was like, so you give you this huge budget, but then don't let you write a longer, more comprehensive story?
I know, right? But it's kind of weird because it's like I don't know what they were thinking, because especially coming off the heels of Aang's show, if you're gonna do a sequel series, I would imagine you would give more creative control. Not I don't, maybe creative control, but also there's more breathing room for the show. Like if the original series was doing good, why would you not give the sequel series the same amount of grace? Is my thinking behind it. Like, why did you do a season by season type of thing? But
Yeah, I feel like if you're
uh,
gonna like have a short leash, it should be with the initial thing. But the thing is,
yeah,
they gave so much leeway for Avatar: The Last Airbender's production. I think they were working on it for like 5 6 years,
they
Mhm.
were.
and
But
then
then
they
again, it's
still
probably
scrapped the pilot episode and redid it.
they did. Y'all, I don't know. Have you guys all seen that pilot episode of what it was? I think it was like what
Yeah.
Aang and Zuko. Yeah.
And it wasn't
Uh,
Katara; it was
no, it was Katara. It was someone else.
Kaya.
I think so. That sounds about right.
I don't remember.
Name sounds familiar.
I don't remember. But
Yeah,
Um,
whatever
all right.
Katara's mom's name was Katara's name
Yeah.
originally.
Let me ask you, actually, Malcolm. Let me get your opinion on this first, and then I'm gonna ask my question of just the sequel series, the Earthbenders, the twins. Korra is now seen as the bad one, the destroyer of humanity in humans' eyes. What's your takeaway with all this?
I'm with Jason. I'm here to defend Korra. I the show and the character. I Jason. Well, let me say this. Backtrack. I watched like the first season of Korra, and I enjoyed it. I didn't watch it anymore like before I started college, and then Jason was like, "Hey, Legend of Korra, it's a great show. You should like watch all the seasons." And so like me and him like watched most of the seasons, and I ended up finishing on my own. And I was like, "Hey, he's right. This is a great show overall. Like I enjoy it. I didn't hate it like a lot of people were like, oh, it's a terrible show. Don't watch it. It's like awful. Don't. It's like it's a disgrace to the Avatar like genre or not genre like title like." I enjoyed Korra the show and Korra the character. I don't hate as much as other people. I see why she gets a lot of hate. I see why people are really frustrated. But I think I just understand she is who she is. That's who she is as a character. So like she can be frustrating as a character, but like I'm okay with her being frustrating as a character because she's different. Like that's her own thing, and like I take the good with the bad. I'm fine with her. I'm here to defend her. I'm hoping that she's not as evil as everyone seems to think she is right now in terms of like doing something heinously awful. Um, I'm excited to see where the show goes. Obviously, we're all huge fans of Avatar. I've watched it so many different times, and can never get enough Avatar content that is animated. Live action, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no such thing as a live action Avatar content. Actually, they probably shouldn't do one though, right?
They
Probably
should give up on live
just
action.
yeah, just make sure it's
It's so
animated. Keep
expensive
going
for no
animated.
reason.
And pointless.
That's
Like
why I do like how they're
anyone who's
announcing
subscribed to
animated.
Netflix is already who's gonna subscribe to Netflix is already subscribed.
Yeah, I don't think. And if you wanted to, like, that's why I like how Avatar Studios is doing anime theatrical films of Avatar. Like Avatar Endgame is getting their own theatrical film, I think, next year. So I like that pocket. Just stay animated. I don't need a live action. But with all that being said, sometimes a live action adaptation could work, just not when you're taking stuff from season two and putting in season one and everything.
Yeah, like live action
But
One Piece was pretty good.
yeah, live action One Piece. Jason here doesn't like it, but
I
live action
don't
One
think
Piece
it
was
was
actually pretty good.
that bad. I don't think it was the bee's knees. It came out a
That
lot better
that
than I thought it was gonna be. It was as
yeah,
good
I'm
as
not
I
even
think an anime live action for One Piece could get.
Yeah,
yeah, I agree with
I
that.
enjoyed it.
I think the creative liberties they took to make it possible in live action and the way they moved around the story, I think it was valid. Yu Yu Hakusho's live action, I did watch recently.
Oh, really? How was it? It was only 5 episodes, right? How was it?
I think it was pretty good. I knowing that they couldn't get too far into the story, it made sense why they kind
I'm
of like
surprised.
rearranged certain things happening. It's like they merged the Saint Beast arc with the like Spirit
Detective.
Detective arc with the
Yeah.
beginning of setup for the tournament arc.
Is there talk of a season two with them?
No clue.
Because to do a dark tournament arc, that's the whole season. Man. You can't do multiple arcs after that. But
They should
I was
not
gonna
do
say
anything
too.
past the Death Tournament arc because they are not going to be able to do anything past that plausibly.
That is fair, especially what happens later. Yeah, you're right. The budget itself, that'll be just a movie. But I do want to throw this at you guys. I know this might seem like a little backtracking from our last Airbender topic, but because Korra, from our knowledge, is the new beginning of the Avatar line. Of course, it might be some more details. There might be some uh, stuff to change it, but from my knowledge right now, it seems that she's the new number one. Do you guys feel like it would be a good move for them to just rock with that and and just continue on with this line instead of trying to bring the old avatars connected again? Just let it ride with Korra as the beginning.
I'm fine with change.
I'm cool with change as well. Wasn't that like one of the names of the books?
Yeah,
Change. Yeah, I think wasn't that book 4?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, change.
But
So I asked that because, go ahead, Jason.
no, I got.
I was gonna say because Korra, because when I was reading this, I was like, because I know when before this was revealed, this premise of the Earthbending twins, the premise, a lot of people's theories was like, how far are we gonna go with the next Avatar? Is it gonna be like the futuristic? Are we gonna go into like the modern era where we are now? Blah blah blah. Because Korra, correct me if I'm wrong, is based on Industrial Revolution, right? So that's between like what the 17 early 1800s basically, and this premise says it's the Earthbending twins discover their avatar right after Cataclysm, right after Korra. So they're not saying there's a Korra, then someone else, and then the twins. They're saying Korra, and then the twins come along. So is this now approaching like Civil War era ish now?
I
Because
think it'd be a little bit past that.
Wait, they're talking about twins now? Because I heard that
Yeah,
leak, but that leak is that separate from the leak that we talked about earlier?
nope, that's the same
It's
one.
all
That's
combined.
the
So,
show.
but I heard like one of them was raised properly and the other one was abandoned. Was the one that we're
Yeah,
following
that's
the one that
that's
was
the.
raised properly or the one that was abandoned?
I think the one that was raised properly, I believe.
But
My
the one that was
understanding. 'Cause I
raised
know that
properly is still also having a target on her back.
yes, because I remember there's one of the twins is a long lost, so I'm assuming that's the one who didn't had a rough life, didn't really was recognized or anything like that.
About to be a
The one
monster,
who was
yo.
raised properly,
She about
and
to
one
be
of them's apparently the Avatar.
dude, what if one of them only has two elements, the other one only has two elements?
I heard that rumor too. Like one of them is like earth
Ooh,
and water, and the other one's fire and air or something
in
like
air.
that.
That's crazy. They had to combine
Earth
together
and
to
water
become the
together is probably not going to be as tough. You want to throw mud at somebody? Like really hard. Use mudslide.
They can do
But
the
I feel like if you're fire earth, then
okay.
you get the lava thing, and if you're like water air, then you're just gonna be like flying.
You got blood bending and metal bending though.
That is true. Blood bending and metal bending is insane.
Blood bending on the full moon, unless you're like Amon or part of his
Yeah.
line or something.
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna keep this grounded because how big can you get? Like you Korra when it gets spirits. Like I don't know what.
I think scaling down would be dope because I mean, we like really high like high stakes stuff too, but like scaling back is fine too. And I think the reality is when you start with a new cast, like watching a person struggle, that's cool. That's part of the hero's journey. And if we're gonna still follow the hero's journey template to a certain capacity, then let's do that. Especially because there's not an infrastructure to support this avatar because the world's against her.
That's true. No support team
Or avatars
Seen
since
fear
there's
now.
twins.
Avatars, right? There's no teachers that you could probably go to about this.
The White Lotus might not exist.
They're definitely dead at this point.
I mean, you don't know that. They probably got like some remnants.
I mean, they probably had some
They
tea
don't
that's
have
super
some remnants.
anti-aging. There's something.
No, I mean like there's gonna be someone to pass on the tradition.
True. So they can kind of like reshape like the earlier like teams and support groups in the past and kind of build like their own.
You never know.
There might be some break off or a change in philosophy with some version of the White Lotus might still exist.
Man, I would love that low key.
But then they'll show up later when they actually find the avatar. Because again, like the avatar is going to be on a low profile so that she can not get jumped.
Yeah, true.
And that's going to make it hard for the White Lotus to find the avatar to even. Because it's not going to be like Aang where he's like showing up everywhere like, hi, I'm the avatar. Can I help? Like, it's going to be like you're wearing like very like low profile clothes, trying to blend in the crowd, be as discreet as possible.
I wonder if they'll have a cult, like an avatar cult.
Maybe.
Who like seen or heard about what Korra has done and everything and destroy of worlds, but you'll have people who's in the cult who being like, she's misunderstood. Actually, she's this powerful goddess or something like that. And so they
two cults
worship.
For two avatars. One of them's gonna come back and be a menace. Like we're gonna have a Zahir vibe like type. Like the one that got abandoned.
Yeah.
Like Zahir energy.
They have a lot of potential.
Dog. I guess like it's a very plausible reboot without doing a reboot. Because again, everyone was wondering like, how are you possibly going to continue this? Because Korra done muddied the water, and they took it. Korra kind of sucked all the oxygen out of the room.
It did,
and it removed the mysticism. And I would almost love a Lost History vibe.
Lost History vibe.
Mm-hmm. Lost History means a lot of questions get unanswered, and there's a lot of history that we didn't get, and then we can kind of have like the whole like discovering what the Avatar is and isn't, and was and wasn't, and seven chakras and blah blah blah. But there isn't necessarily a tradition to jump onto because everything got destroyed in the
It
cataclysm.
does. So that means now these twins can create their own tradition for the Avatar now, because now the Aang's group, all the Avatar, the past Avatar line is kind of diminished. Now they have to now. They're now the new foundation of what the Avatar message could be, what the foundation is, the philosophy of Avatar could be now. Well, at least one of them, because I think only one of them is supposed to be revealed to be the Avatar, but we don't know who it will be yet. I think that's like the mystery of the season, like who, which one is it, which twin? So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
I would love to do the
it's a
whole
lot.
like split bending thing, two each, or all four each, but they're both not that powerful. Oh, if
No,
they're
there's
split and they're
confusion.
not as powerful, but they still have all four elements, it might reasonably raise the stakes for the Avatar because there's not as much natural talent. And then therefore you can scale down like the fights and stuff like that and end up scaling up the tension at the same time.
And maybe like only one can be in the Avatar state at a time.
Oh.
That's true.
Nah, the twins
Because
thing
only
is hard
ever
because
one.
Rava's whole thing was like, I'm passing through one, I'm in the body with the Avatar. And so again, this is another reason why Rava is stupid. The Rava Vatu thing is stupid.
It is. It is.
And
It's okay, Jason.
because
I feel your pain.
it hurts me because I like Korra so much. I actually, at one point in time, I actually liked Legend of Korra more than The Last Airbender.
I know. I remember
And
that.
I remember getting crucified for it.
As you should.
Rightfully so.
That's a little too far.
I think it's
Yeah.
just because of all the innovations that they did. Because for me, I think sequels get a lot of heartache for no reason.
That's true.
It's always too different from the original and then not enough like the original. But it's just like, no one's ever going to be happy. And I think that makes me almost like kind of root for the sequels and really
For the
look at its
underdog.
strengths and look at its improvisations. Like, I think there's lots of things that Korra did better. I think also Korra and Avatar were both produced under very different constraints. And so it's kind of like apples to oranges. So I don't even think it's even possible to fairly critique and compare them.
I think that's why this show is going to be way more interesting because it's 26 episodes over 2 seasons. So they already plan a season one and season two. So they already planned that it's going to be like a multi-season arc compared to Korra, where she only had like a season by season type of will she or will she not come back with another season. So with this being said, I hope that they tell their story in season two, and then we move on to the Fire Avatar. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to that Fire Nation. You know what I'm saying? So
He was like,
we'll see
100
what
years of
happens.
war, 100 more.
Run it back. You know what I'm saying? Do it again. We'll see. Malcolm, any last thoughts?
Free Korra, she didn't do anything wrong. I got her back.
Free core.
No, Korra did a lot wrong.
Hmm.
Korra the Avatar did a lot
Jason?
wrong. Korra the show was extremely interesting, I think. And even on my first watch through, I didn't really mind the seasons that I critique heavily now. I think everyone has a strongly negative opinion because everyone told them what to think.